This LinkedIn is pointless. All you see is recruitment girls acting like it's Instagram, daft, supposedly inspirational sayings from recruiters with no actual job leads or anything useful. Recruitment companies have completely ruined the construction industry when it comes to actually getting a job with false promises and ghosting of their supposed clientele. And Mitch replies, recruitment girls acting like it's Instagram, says the man in a string singlet. Well, there you go. Hey everyone, Noble Xenon here, and welcome to LinkedIn Lunatics. Let's get started. So, Stacy here has had multiple clear-cut accomplishments in 2024. You hear that, LinkedIn? Multiple. My husband, on the other hand, 0. No certifications, no college courses completed, no documentary features, and no awards. How do you do that? I asked from across the dining table. How are you able to go through a whole year without doing any of these sort of things and be okay? He didn't have a response. There is so much to unpack and learn from an exchange like this. Specifically, what's standing in the way of my ability to be content without conventional markers of accomplishment? My gut says that this is a question that many people, namely high-performing women, grapple with too. I don't have an answer, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Could you go a year without a single new certification, interview, award, promotion, and be okay with yourself for it? Would you think of a colleague, direct report, manager, friend, or spouse differently for not doing so? Hashtag women in cybersecurity, hashtag cybersecurity, hashtag certifications, hashtag career development. Well, I think as long as they're doing the job right, it doesn't matter if they're collecting awards and certifications like if they're Pokemon cards. But come on, why are you doing that to your husband on LinkedIn? Heath, the regional director, says, "Don't work on Saturday mornings," said no one who cares about their job. I'm not talking about grinding every weekend. I'm talking about those perfect Saturday mornings, quiet house, hot single origin coffee, clear calendar, just you and 3 uninterrupted hours to think bigger, knock out a few tasks, plan for next week, etc. Leading 25 staff and $1 million organization has taught me something. Saturday mornings aren't about catching up, they're about getting ahead. When I was starting, one focused Saturday morning could turn a good idea into a concrete plan, help me see someone or something that was falling through the cracks, give me fresh new ideas that wouldn't come to mind during the week, and helped me be way more proactive at home the rest of the day. To the young leaders out there, you don't need to sacrifice every weekend, but finding those occasional perfect Saturday mornings, game changer. And Anne's reply is just perfection, okay? Work on Saturday? Sure, I will make sure that the nanny, cleaning lady, personal chef, and chauffeur all report to work Saturday so I can get 3 uninterrupted hours to work on top of the 40 plus hours I've already put in. Oh wait, the nanny, cleaning lady, personal chef, and chauffeur? That's me. They're all me. It's great to block out uninterrupted time to move projects forward, but some people do not have a quiet house or a clear calendar, and no coffee because we haven't gotten to the store all week, and definitely don't have the money to buy single origin. To say that someone who doesn't work Saturdays doesn't care about their job is insulting and smacks of unacknowledged privilege. Well, I couldn't have said it any better. Nicholas says stories on LinkedIn be like, yesterday we had a Zoom meeting and Tom was reluctant to turn on his camera. I insisted that he did, and we saw that he was presenting from a bed in the ICU where his mother lay dying. He apologized profusely for the inconvenience. I said, "Don't apologize for being human, Tom," and I didn't fire him. I just cut his salary. Show compassion to your employees. Agree? Source Reddit. Wait. So this is a LinkedIn post from a Reddit post that was posted on Reddit again, and now it's on YouTube. This is blowing my mind here. LinkedIn Lunatics be like, what should I post today? A, here's what it taught me about B2B. B, I hired a pregnant woman without a degree. C, inspirational quote and selfie, of course. Or D, copy-paste last week's post. And those lunatics are probably like, is it possible to choose all of the above? No, that's not how Who Wants to Be a Millionaire works. But I can be a millionaire by working 100 hours a week on the grind set. Let's just move on. X Facebook, X Google, X Netflix, or X whatever. Am I the only one who would never put this in my headline? Just just get over it or go back to your ex, laughing emoji. I mean, these people are probably just putting these big companies out there to get recruiters' attention. Daniel here thinks being an unemployed female is just like being a single male. Dear women, if you're struggling to get a job in the current market, have applied to over 2,000 openings over 2 years with no results, feel enraged by delusional and out-of-touch employer expectations, frustrated by endless hoops to jump through, disheartened by constant ghosting, and discouraged that nobody reaches out first, with genuine interest in your expertise, now you understand what the dating market is like for the majority of men. Hashtag hiring, hashtag job market, hashtag recruitment, hashtag ghosting, hashtag dating. And this is coming from a so-called workflow architect. Why even post this on LinkedIn? Bro really thought he did something. And now, on long-term sick for depression, James doesn't care. Get home and don't you dare leave. I just need to pick up my new sick note, then I'll meet you in Spoons. Word for word what I heard from someone walking by me today. The whole sick/fit note process needs an overhaul. If you're fit enough to sit in the pub, you're fit enough to go to work. Says the cold calling enthusiast. Hey, if I had to cold call people every day, I would want to drink too. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, then why not like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell? This next one is posting STEM videos on the hub for higher CPMs. Hold on, she might actually be onto something here, let's see. People may not know this, but I publish the same STEM videos on both YouTube and the hub. While YouTube generally generates more views, the ad revenue per 1 million views on the hub is nearly 3 times higher. So about $1,000 per million on the hub versus $340 on YouTube. Although if you look at the views, nearly 1 million views on YouTube versus just 32,000 on the hub, so not that many, but considering she's just posting the same content on both, might not be too bad of an idea, but I'm not sure how appropriate it is to mention such a site on LinkedIn of all places. This next one accidentally created an account and immediately deleted it, but definitely had to leave an unhinged reason. Please provide a little more information to help us improve. Danny DeVito started an OF page, so I don't have time for LinkedIn anymore. What? Oh my goodness. Well, oddly enough, not the most unhinged thing I've seen on LinkedIn. This next one, I'm still trying to make sense of it. Genders can't be equal, they are producers. Now let's see what extra they have. Men, women, male, female, he, she, father, mother, M has greater ASCII value as an ASCII, boy, girl, you can find. Please add comments if you know more. Never equate. Sir, I can't equate anything if the equation doesn't make any sense. And the reply, I'm fascinated by how people can come up with dumb shit like this. Is the kind of stuff you can only find on LinkedIn. I don't know how people find the time for stuff like this when they're supposedly so busy on that grind set. Last night, I experienced one of those classic parenting moments. My 18-year-old daughter was picked up for a date. Safe to say, I made sure the young man knew exactly where he stood. The handshake, extra firm. The tone, deep and deliberate. The only words, my daughter means everything to me, so your sole and only responsibility tonight is her safety. Understood? Got me thinking, what have you done when your child was picked up for a date? Did you go full bad boys routine? Maybe took some inspiration from Den of Thieves? Or did you play it cool? Let me know how you handled it, and let me know how this is relevant in any way on a professional networking app. And now for this next one, we have a TEDx speaker, which just makes me think you didn't make the cut for a regular TED Talk, and an advisor to those wanting to make or save money. In line with hashtag work from home casual, even gym-like attire is becoming the norm as we see the dilution of the once revered tailor-made suit. Recently, I was questioned by some youngsters about the formal blazer and tie I was wearing. Apparently, it was a bit too much and not very trendy. Wrong person to pick on, crying laughing emoji. Questioning their real intent, it became apparent that insecurities were at play. Just like this video, I'm surprised they didn't get the blood pressure monitor out. Dressing well isn't merely about appearances. It's about the ethos and mindset it fosters. It's about setting standards and embracing one's uniqueness in a sea of conformity. To all the young professionals and seasoned individuals alike, it's better to dress for the role you aspire to, not just the one you have. Let your attire reflect your aspirations and the respect you have for yourself and your work. No one deep down disrespects quality attire. I mean, there is a time and a place for a finely tailored suit, but I don't think it's really necessary to wear one every day if you're just working from home. And for this next one, something about this post screams, I need you all back in the office so I can take credit for your work. I honestly don't know what's the big deal of going back to a 5-day in-office work week. Remote working was used when COVID hit our country and they wanted it to be safe for everyone and still keep the company/agency running. Now that things are back to normal or close to normal, I see too many people complaining or fighting against going back to the office. Why? You did it before. You're not being introduced to something new. You're just going back to the way it was. I understand remote works really well with workers with children. You get to spend more time with them. But everyone was doing fine before remote working. We're just going back to the in-office setting. I personally love working in the office. Remote just doesn't work for me. I understand this is not a popular opinion on this matter. I'm just saying it shouldn't be a big deal because everyone had done it before. I mean, just because everyone had done it before doesn't mean that those people were comfortable with that situation. Working in the office might not be a big deal for you, but it is a huge deal for some other people. I don't think this person quite understands what other people are going through. For this next one, we have ourselves an unhinged LinkedIn comment. Americans are looking in the wrong direction. Follow the gain from injury. Bakersfield, California protesting today anti-deportation. South border peeps work in construction. Fires equals work equals no deportation. Remedy, deport. List as terror groups. Labor, start high school carpentry education now. Make 16-year-old plus kids from other states like Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Massachusetts, Georgia, Wyoming do the carpentry work. Carpentry work. Not carpentry, noble Xenon. This post is so confusing, even I'm mispronouncing stuff. But what is so particular about these states? And now we have a based LinkedIn recruiter. My daily routine as a recruiter. 7 a.m. Post a couple fake jobs. 8 a.m. Show up 45 minutes late to a call with a candidate. 9 a.m. Lowball offers. 10 a.m. Steal an agency candidate without paying their fee. 10:30. Post a job saying it's remote when it's really on site. 10:45. Post another job listing salary range between 90 and 652K. Yeah, those salary ranges get ridiculous. 11 a.m. Ghost candidates after their third round interview. 12 p.m. Send out AI-generated messages without editing them. 1 to 3 p.m. lunch. A 2-hour lunch, eh? And 3 to 5 p.m. blame market headwinds on lack of good candidates. What's your routine as a recruiter? An improvement farce says we found the one honest recruiter. It's a Christmas miracle. It only took to the middle of January. He forgot 5:01 p.m. Post BS like this on LinkedIn as soon as you clock out. You're on LinkedIn posting more lunacy, while at the same time encouraging others to not clock out until like 8:30. And now a homeless man kept a piece of paper for 10 years so he could get some clout on LinkedIn. The CEO of Pray.com, prayers in the comments everyone, says, I helped a homeless man fix his shoes outside a church. 10 years later, a policeman came to my house with his photo. It was bitterly cold, the kind that seeped into your bones. I can feel the mid-January cold in my bones! I had just finished my errands when I decided to step into the church for a moment of reflection. That's when I saw him, sitting on the church steps, hatless, his hands trembling as he struggled to fix his falling apart shoes. I couldn't walk past. Something about him struck a chord. Let me help you, I said. Crouching beside him, he looked up, his tired, bloodshot eyes meeting mine, still holding a spark of hope. I fastened his shoes, wrapped my scarf around his shoulders, and brought him hot soup and tea from a nearby cafe. Here, I said, handing him the food. I scribbled my address on a scrap of paper. If you ever need a place or someone to talk to, reach out. He nodded, silent. I walked away, thinking I probably would never see him again. 10 years passed. Life was ordinary work, friends, family routines. One evening, as I sat home sipping tea, there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, a policeman stood before me holding the photograph of the homeless man I'd helped on those church steps a decade earlier. "Ma'am," he asked, "have you seen this man?" The police officer was the homeless man in the photo. Credit, Lillian Whitfield, so this wasn't even your own post. Again, can we get some pray.com prayers in the comments? Thank you. Restaurants hate me because I always ask them to avoid cooking my food in vegetable oils. Bring your own beef tallow is the new BYOB. Thanks to the San Francisco Standard for tagging along at a superpower team lunch. Well, good luck trying to get that request accommodated, because a lot of restaurants are not going to do that. You're either going to have to find a restaurant that cooks with beef tallow or cook at home. Probably the latter. I feel sorry for anyone that only started back at work today. 19% of January is already gone. 1.64% of the whole of 2025 is already gone. By the way, this is referring to people who returned on January 6th versus this person who returned on the 2nd. Time you'll never get back. Meanwhile, we started back at work on Thursday. That means we're 7% ahead of you for the month and 0.6% ahead for the year. My inbox is already clear. My mind is free. Winners win. Think about it. And drink water while you think, because hydration is important. I'll agree with you on the hydration part, but everything else? What if they leapfrog you in productivity because they're well rested and are able to do more in less time? And the Reddit OP says, "This is great r/LinkedIn Lunatics fuel. Thanks. Thanks for that sweet, sweet content." I haven't done dishes in 4 years. Not because I'm lazy. It's because my time is worth $5,000 an hour. How did you come up with that figure? Simple math. Dishes equals $15 an hour to delegate. My time, $5,000 an hour. Decision equals obvious. Stop doing $15 an hour tasks. Start doing $5,000 an hour work. That's how you scale. Hashtag business, hashtag productivity, hashtag entrepreneurship, hashtag where are you getting these $5,000 an hour jobs? It's called scaling. Duh. For this next one, the level of narcissism in our modern society is simply off the charts. On the eve of this new year, I got backstabbed by a direct LinkedIn contact, or to put it correctly, a now former direct contact. He was bothered by the fact that one of my last LinkedIn posts got picked up by the algorithm for whatever reason and was being shown to him too often. Well, if that isn't the most 21st century problem I've ever seen. He was seeing the post, choosing to ignore it, and was shown the post again. I've supported many of his posts and at times been the only person to do so. It might be that the LinkedIn algorithm was trying to encourage hashtag reciprocity, but he missed the hint, or it was a glitch. So instead of simply reacting to it or unfollowing me for a while, he backstabbed me by reporting my post to LinkedIn as irrelevant content in his feed, knowing that it's gonna harm me and harm my reach. Knowing that I even wanted to give up on LinkedIn just recently. To make it even better, he informed me about it by posting a comment underneath. Don't look for the comment, I removed it after I kept a copy. Only 2 weeks ago, I personally thanked him because earlier this year he had supported a few of my posts. This is how he paid me back. So it seems you can have titles and still lack decency and manners. Just because you can report a post in your feed doesn't mean you should. The level of narcissism in our modern society is simply off the charts. Complaining under my post because it was shown in his feed too often? It's so much easier to hurt someone if all you care about is you. I can write a book about all the times I've done good to someone and they paid me back with some version of crap. And this has to be addressed because it happens everywhere you go, including at the workplace. Actions have consequences for us and for others. So let's stop whitewashing the betrayal, dishonesty, backstabbing, and arrogance. No, it's not okay. Never was, never will be. Just because Christmas is over doesn't mean you can be Grinch again. It sounds like both of y'all are a little too worked up about a LinkedIn post. However, I must say, reporting a post just because you don't like it, not really a valid reason to report something. David here just happened to stumble into a Lambo dealership, just out of the blue. And what he learned from the sales manager was probably the most efficient sales logic 101 he's seen in a long time. He came up to me and within 3 sentences said, "Whatever you do, don't tint the windows. You're young, you're good looking. When you pull up, people are gonna want to look inside and see who's driving it. They're gonna want to take pics with you. Promise you won't tint these?" He sold the emotional experience so effortlessly by getting me to agree with him how it feels to drive such a theatrical car. He didn't once talk about the engine features, the tech, the stopping power, because purchasing in a commoditized and overpopulated market isn't about data, it's all about emotion. Either that or he tailored his approach to you in particular to sell the car. The deeper we get into the skincare and personal care market, which is also commoditized and overpopulated, got me thinking, focus on one emotion and delete all the other less important call-outs. 1. Play. Laurel Bathhouse is all about being cheeky and playful. That's the brand. Double down. 2. Keep the highest quality natural ingredients, but if anything, it's a feature, not more the most expensive feature we will always invest in. We're never going to differentiate on simply price. We won't win. Scent profile. Anyone can copy. Or packaging. We can win on saying and doing what the big brands can't in a voice that's uniquely ours. Like, selling a body wash called Morning Wood, derived from the scent of upcycled deforested tree scraps. That is most certainly a unique voice, I must say. That is, something. And now, oh boy, we have another one of these posts. Douglas complaining about Gen Z's entitlement, high turnover rates, and employers. Why are companies not hiring Gen Z? The report, which was based on a survey of nearly 1,000 hiring managers, found that 1 in 6 employers were reluctant to hire Gen Z workers, mainly due to the reputation for being entitled and easily offended. While not solely responsible, Gen Z is often cited as a major contributor to high turnover rates in the workplace due to their high expectations for career growth, emphasis on work-life balance, desire for meaningful work, and willingness to job hop in search of better opportunities, leading them to switch jobs more frequently than older generations, because how dare they be happy, right? Soft quitting. Gen Z's give an employer 2 weeks notice respect. Soft quitting, often referred to as quiet quitting, is a trend particularly associated with Gen Z, where employees consciously choose to only do the bare minimum required to work at their job, not going above and beyond or taking on extra responsibilities, essentially prioritizing work-life balance over exceeding expectations and impressing their employer. This is often seen as a reaction to demanding workplace cultures and a desire for better mental health boundaries. Soft quitting, a trend often associated with Gen Z, can negatively impact the work environment by potentially leading to decreased productivity, lack of initiative, and a perception of disengagement among colleagues, which can create a less collaborative and motivated atmosphere within a team. While not solely responsible, Gen Z is often cited as, wait a minute, I think I've read this before. Did you break ChatGPT? I'm a talent sourcer, perform pre-screen interviews, job hopping. If a candidate switches jobs a lot in a short period of time, that is a big red flag in capital letters. I'm less likely to contact that candidate, shows no stability, have come across a lot of complaints regarding the interview question, why did you leave your last job? That is a fair question. Be an adult and give the reason. It is not a trick question. Be very mindful of your attitude, be nice, and in no way ever use profanity or speak negatively of your former employer. The large percentage of sourcers are contracted out and are not a company employee. They are the gatekeepers. They decide whether or not to forward your resume to the company recruiter. Phone interview time. Be on time, phone for scheduled time, answer the phone even if you don't recognize the number. And do not let it go to voicemail. Sourcers will usually try twice and not a third time. Ensure your surroundings are quiet. We do not want to hear the dog barking or any other disturbing background noise, which may result in the interviewer cutting the interview short. By the way, he is #open to work. I wonder why. Chris says the stage is set. Opportunities await. This year will become whatever you intend it to be, shaped by your actions or inactions. The choice is yours. Shows a picture of him staring at the Trump Tower. Sir, he is not going to give you a job at the White House. Also, what kind of job is revenue difference maker? Oh, here we go again. Same guy, different post. Overweight leadership figures make me laugh. Considering the last post, Barring some pre-existing condition, there is simply no excuse to not lead yourself to a greater state of health, subsequently commanding the respect of your subordinates. Rarely do overweight individuals have any real insight to help their team compete, grow, and develop because they don't practice health and wellness fundamentals. Furthermore, they tend to butt heads with a top-level talent they hire who are not overweight because they usually become insecure when engaging with them. I'm part of a biohacking group helping hashtag sales and hashtag business development professionals achieve their genetic potential, and there are some stellar contributors within. Pure networking and knowledge share. DM me if interested. As long as someone is good at leadership, does it matter how much they weigh? Because, sir, it sounds like you're just making a bunch of assumptions about overweight people. Jeffrey here doesn't vacation. He travels. This is the difference. I assume the difference is money, but let's see what he thinks the difference is. Vacations are a complete shutdown. O set. Out of office. Voicemail message setting return date. No checking in with the team. Unavailability to clients. I don't know this world. This is not a flex, yet it is my reality. I'm fine cranking during a 10-hour flight. Hold on, wait a minute, sir. What do you mean by cranking, sir? Same with waking up at 4 a.m. These aren't sacrifices. This is what it takes to balance the polls. It's easy to judge this from afar and view from the lens of toxic work habits, but until you build something from nothing and have responsibility for others, including payroll, take advantage of unplugging. It's a far different world when you reach this point. Hashtag attorney, hashtag law, hashtag CEO, hashtag... This isn't really unplugging, sir. You're just on a business trip. Remember, boys, landing $200,000 to $500,000 jobs is easy. You just need to have the right email content. If that's all it takes, then I would have had $1 million job. Most people landing $200,000 to $500,000 job offers don't have a fancy resume, don't have MBAs, nothing against them, don't personally know someone at the company. The people who I know landing these offers have plain resumes with lots of results listed, clarity on their life and professional goals, messages to introduce themselves to executives. Here's an example message. I was researching the title role on your team. Your search for someone who has worked on something from the job description caught my attention. Over the past X years, I have led teams of 8+ CSMs, managed $25 million ARR while implementing effective upselling strategies, grown ARR 17% year over year by articulating the platform's value to customers and decreasing churn from 5.4 to 3.1%. If you think it makes sense, would you be open to hopping on a call to share a bit more about this role and how you've liked working with company? $500,000 a year. It's that easy. Elon Musk fired 50% of Twitter in November 2022. Price's square root law explains why Twitter didn't collapse, even when a further 30% were fired. Price's law. 50% of the work is done by the square root of the number of employees. Examples. If you have 10 engineers, half the output can be attributed to 3 of them. Out of 100 engineers, 10 will generate an output equivalent to that of the other 90. As a consequence, in order to double output, you need to quadruple the headcount. In Twitter's case, the square root of the original 8,000 employees is just 90. This is obviously an oversimplification, but Price's law provides a strong perspective on the natural resilience of organizations, far more than you'd naturally expect. But wouldn't that same law also dictate that if you fire half the company, there would also be a decrease in output? But no, you must insist that Elon Musk is some sort of super genius beyond our mere mortal minds. And now, anything before dinner counts as half a day. One of my proudest accomplishments this year is taking only 15.5 days off. Here are the rules for my team. On weekdays, anything before 6:30 p.m. counts as half a day. Sir, I'm pretty sure it still counts as a full work day. If you have dinner at 6:30 p.m., you're not leaving for it at 6:30. You'd leave earlier, which makes it a half day. On weekends, anything before 4 p.m. is a half day. No exceptions for holidays, birthdays, doctor's appointments, kids' activities, or sick days. So, basically no exceptions ever. Great. For example, Christmas is a full day off if you don't show up at all. The reason we track these is simple. In this job, there's no built-in accountability. There's no pink slip or documentation when someone doesn't show up. So I created the days off system to hold my agents and most importantly myself accountable. If you're not performing as well as you should, we need to understand why, and often the reason is that you're slacking off. A half day here, a half day there, it all adds up. When you're mentally checked out, it shows, and success requires the right mental attitude. Which, by the way, a lot of times, in order to get that right mental attitude, you need a break! He doesn't seem to understand this, though. You may not be the smartest, the best looking, or the most talented, most of those things are beyond your control. But the one thing you can control is how hard you work. I was a C/D student who scored a 21 on my ACT. On paper, I didn't look like someone who would achieve much. For anyone wondering how a kid from the south side of Chicago with no backing, no investors, and no luxury network made it downtown and rose to the top, the number one reason is that I was willing to work for it. Either that or just take a ride on the L. Nobody can take away your work ethic. Now, I fully expect to receive comments calling this toxic work culture. What about work-life balance? Let me be clear. There are millions of people out there, and I'm not judging anyone who doesn't want to aim for the top, but if your goal is to be the best in your field, balance isn't an option. It's that simple. When you write your 2025 goals, start with the most important one. No days off. 2025, let's friggin' go. Something tells me he's gonna have a very exhausting 2025. I'm exhausted just reading this post. And for this last one, candidate, I'm not gonna talk to you about any roles unless the comp is 150 grand or more base salary. Cole. Alright, how much were you earning at your last position? That is none of your business. Alright, silently understanding they were earning less than half that, but continuing on, I like to ask you some questions about your background and career goals to see if you're in line with my client's needs. Candidate replies, look, is the job paying 150 or not? I don't want to waste my time. Maybe, but I'm not sure if you're a $150,000 candidate. So far, I'm not seeing it. Also, because you're unemployed, you're currently earning $0. I'm trying to see if I can get you in front of my client. You don't seem to want to work with me on that. Candidate, click. Posts on LinkedIn that the market is dried up. Complains to his friends how hard it is to find a decent job. Is mean to dogs, probably. Where did that come from? People, I want to help you. I can't do that if you won't get out of your own way. Because how dare people want to get paid properly for their job? So, I'd like to thank all of my channel members, especially Catalin Cormendi, Nightcrawler, VicMeister1999, and Amethyst Phoenix. You can join simply by clicking the join button below. Feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell if you enjoyed it, and feel free to comment if you've got something on your mind.